Joe Blasco here on MUATV.com's Who Is. Today we have KevinHaney. And Kevin, let's get back to, well, we did the cleanup thing there, and you gave us your recommendations for cleanup. We did mention that you're going to be coming to Florida. That was the last thing we talked about. That he is going to be coming to Florida for a forced vacation to do some makeup for us at our studio there in Orlando. Let's talk about Dick Tracy a little more. You said Venia was there, and you did a lot of the character makeups.
Supervised.
Yeah, you supervised the character makeups.
Yeah, I did Edo Ross. Edo Ross was the Edo Ross and Paul Sorvino were the two makeups that I did. I may have also done the brow, but John and Doug, would do a lot of. Greg Canham came in to do a character, and V, as I said, was like point set person, very very important. It was also, if I'm not mistaken, the very first film to use a cleanup crew, which is now it's become standard.
It's standard, yeah.
But it was John and Doug's brilliant idea.
Right.
To
Great
have
idea. Yeah. Bring in a second crew to come in because they're fresh and they're not tired. You have a crew of makeup artists who've been working all day, 12, 14 hours, whatever it may be. You let them go. They've done their duty. They pay their dues.
The next day.
They come fresh the next day, and you bring in a second crew to do cleanup, which is, I think, is brilliant. The Addams Family. We talked about that briefly. Give us a story, something you remember, something that really stood out when you were working that film that you.
The first Addams Family.
Yes.
It was pretty boring on that one.
Pretty boring.
I do remember that I got to bring in Matthew to help with bald cap on
Matthew Mungle,
Pugsley.
one of my graduates, Matthew Mungle.
That was where I met Matthew on set. But I remember they talked about, Paramount was so upset that the show was going over that they said that we're going to come back, we're going to edit it together and see what we have, and then we're going to do reshoots. And I said, excuse me, but Chris is shaving his head. There's no guarantee that when he comes back that he's going to be able to shave his head. I think we better do a cast of his shaved head, so that we can make a proper foam latex cap, at least custom for the back of the cap. Yes. And sure enough, when they came back, Chris couldn't do it. So we intercut between this foam latex piece and his actual shaved head. Yes. That's the only thing I can really think of.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, they were identical, between the two. Let's talk about one of my favorites, and I'm sure a favorite of many, many people out there, and that is Death Becomes Her. Now, here is a film. I mean, this is a film that is a makeup, CGI, just a dream.
Well, they
film.
didn't have CGI then. That was all done optically.
It was done optically.
They started doing CGI. It was one of the first things.
But this was done green screen or blue screen?
Blue screen. Yes. We were doing, actually, it was very early in it. And, it's kind of a complicated story because there were a lot of people involved in it. Dick got the job originally, and Dick wanted the consultant. And then he said, KevinHaney's going to be he's going to be my. I'm going to be the. It's going to be really his film, but I'm going to be directing him and acting as senior advisor.
Yes.
Between Dick and myself, we chose who would work on it. Really, is from the makeup department. Yes. We handpicked Lance and David Anderson. Yes. We saw a lot of people, went around to a lot of shops, and Dick and I chose them to help us.
Who applied the makeup that was done on Meryl Streep when her head is
that would be me.
Backwards?
That would be me. I was responsible for Meryl Streep. I had Mike Mills applying Bruce Willis's makeup, and Lance and David applied Goldie Hawn's fat makeup, and Lance was basically designed.
Yes.
The facial appliances, and me and David Anderson sculpted the body.
It's a real makeup picture. It's fascinating. You were nominated for an Oscar for that film, were you not?
No, we were not.
You were not?
No, it won for visual effects.
I see.
But it didn't make it. It didn't make it. The people had just given an award to Terminator,
yes.
and people were dismayed when they found out that there were a lot of visual effects in it, in Terminator, and they said, "Well, we can't do that again, so
yes.
we're not going to nominate it."
Yes.
And in all fairness, I didn't do a very hard job of promoting it, but
yeah.
It could have, but it did win. We also
to what degree? Excuse me. To what degree? You just brought something up here. He says you didn't. He said he didn't do a very hard job of promoting it. Tell our audience worldwide how you have to promote yourself when you wish to be nominated for an award.
There are those instances. This is a touchy thing because I don't tend to do it as much as other people. But let's say you work on a film and you think it might be Oscar worthy.
Yes.
Take pictures, have behind the scene pictures, make a book, make a nice book. You're not judged on that, but ultimately you're going to be judged on what's on film.
Yes.
And what's on film is the final say.
Right.
But I know many films that would never have made it to the final cut. You know, for instance, the brilliant work that was done on Cinderella Man, nobody knew what was in that film, and until David Anderson brought in the book of the noses and the fighters' noses and
yes.
all the cuts and bruises and the fact that they had done all this stuff,
yes.
people went, "Oh, well, that's a lot of stuff."
Yes,
because the problem with our work is that when it's brilliant, it's invisible.
That's right. That reminds me of something, and you'll remember this reading Richard Corson's book. Do you remember in the back, in the conclusion of the book, he states, a makeup that calls attention to itself mm-hmm. is not a good makeup.
Yeah.
It's like an actor who cannot do his own makeup is an artistic cripple. Do you remember those? Do you remember those? Anyway, you know what? We're going to pick up on this in just 1 second. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We have to do a tape change. All right?